and then share my screen. So, let's go.
Like your hat, Janice.
Thanks.
I like her background. I'm
I know.
envious of her background. I'm sitting in my office.
Well, it's pretty quiet around here, Russell.
Well, it ain't that busy here either, sadly. It's busier than I guess it could be.
Yeah.
All right, can you guys see the slideshow on your screens?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So really what we're here to talk about is Dude Ranch Vacations. It's a pretty new concept for most of my guests. They've thought about Dude Ranch Vacations, but really it's kind of an unknown. They're more familiar with doing Caribbean vacations or maybe taking the family to the lake for a camp out, but wanting to have a more adventure. And so we're going to kind of talk a little bit more about it. So we have Three Bars Ranch, which is Tyler, Western Pleasure Ranch, which is Janice, right? And
Yes.
then White Stallion Ranch. And we'll first start off with Tyler, talking a little bit about his ranch. So Tyler, you want to tell us a little bit where you're located and kind of things around you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're the Canadian ranch. So obviously for this summer it could be a little bit challenging, but especially for 2021, we're already kind of starting to move our groups that direction. So we're just across the border. We are straight south of Banff, you can see from the map there, and straight north of Glacier. So we're kind of in the sweet spot in the middle there. Most of my guests will fly into one of those major airports, Calgary, Kalispell, Montana, or Spokane, incorporate one of the national parks with a trip to the ranch, and then continue on. They can kind of do it in reverse as well. So we see a lot. We see a lot of our guests kind of do an extended stay on either side of us. As far as Three Bars itself, we're a pretty traditional ranch. The cool thing about guest ranches, as you first kind of start to learn about a little bit, there's kind of some core values that all of them share. So all of them obviously have a Western background. Horseback riding is a big part of that. The structure of the facilities often are very similar. Accommodations, meals, activities are all going to be part of a package. So those core things typically are very similar from ranch to ranch. The cool part about guest ranches is when we start talking about some of the niches. So we kind of specialize in the activity side of things. So we've got a large riding program. Almost all of my guests will ride, but a lot of them are going to do other activities at least part of the time. So my activity program right now includes everything from horseback riding, whitewater rafting, shooting sports, ATVs, mountain bikes, e-bikes, hiking, climbing, fly fishing, and ATVs. So those are the kind of things that can, those are the immediate things that we do in-house right on site. On top of that, we run a full evening program. So there's something going on after dinner every evening. And so it's a very, very full program. All of my guests come for 6 nights. So Sunday arrival, Saturday departure. Everybody goes through the program. And like I said, it's very, very full. So if you want to ride just a little bit, it's pretty much going to max you out to get everything in. So the cool part about that, and the cool part about the way we operate, is we do everything here in-house. So it's our guides doing our program, and what that does is it gives us a lot of flexibility. So our guide to guest ratio is kind of 4 to 1. So if your family wake up in the morning and they decide they want to ride in the morning and raft in the afternoon, we can pretty much facilitate that. And that kind of goes across our program all the way. It's not unusual for us in an afternoon to have all of those activities happening at the same time. So what it does for families, we kind of accepted a long time ago that families were becoming more and more diverse. While they might have some riders in the group, not everybody was going to be a hardcore rider the whole time. So we really tried to target and move outside of that real horse base or expand beyond it, I should say, and kind of offer something for everybody. So like I said, it's not unusual for a couple family members to be in the riding program, a couple family members to be rafting, and maybe somebody else is shooting all on the same day. And that flexibility is kind of what gives everybody a vacation. So we say it all the time, it's really not a vacation if you're not doing something you enjoy. So we try and give everybody the flexibility to do that. And by doing everything in-house, that gives us the ability to do it as well. So that's maybe kind of the part that would set 3 bars apart just a little bit. Kind of my stick for ranches in general, guest ranches in general right now. I do a lot of this kind of stuff for Tourism Canada, and oddly enough, guest ranches were built for COVID. We have individual accommodations. 90% of our activities are outside. We're somewhat remote by nature. Most of us have huge dining facilities with outside capacity. So as we go through this exercise of adapting over to, this new normal of COVID, it's actually remarkably easy for us. And, a lot of the data that we're seeing coming out of, Tourism Canada and Destination BC, the products that people are looking for going forward perfectly align with ranches. So while I don't think anybody's going to come out of 2020 unscathed, I think ranches are perfectly positioned for, really prime demand for 2020 and moving forward. So right now, while everything's in the air, travel, and my property specifically, because we're on the other side of the border for my key market, 2020 is really difficult to deal with, but we're already doing group bookings for 2021, and that's another really large market that we're kind of seeing develop right now. We've always had it, but the concept of a ranch buyout for a single family or a family reunion is getting more and more traction. And we're seeing those, we're already 50% booked for next year. So for agents that are kind of looking to kind of move into this space, now is kind of the time to, to really start booking those larger groups. So while I think, like I said, 2020 is horrible. I think the prospectus going forward is very good for ranches, and we're excited for this to be over and move on.
Perfect. I appreciate that. So Tyler, can you tell me a little bit about the accommodations you have? Because I have some families on that have more kids, and some families that are smaller of just, 2 adults and 1 kid, and younger kids too. So, do you have bunk beds? Do you have lower beds? How are your accommodations set up for families?
Sure. So, because we're so activity based, we try to, kids need to be 6 years old and up to come into our activities program. Having said that, once they're 6 and up, they can do my full program. So they can raft and they can shoot and ride and do the whole deal. So nobody's getting left out at that point. But we kind of want them from 6 years old, 6 years and up. All of my accommodations are individual. You can see a couple of them there. They're kind of cabins. They come in all different configurations. So 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, and a whole array of bed configurations. So everything from kind of a couple to a family of 3, 4, 5, and we've even got cabins that can accommodate families of 6 now. So typically when we see an inquiry or a reservation come in, we obviously all of us ranches charge per person, and then we'll try and place you in the best possible cabin that's going to fit for you. And we have like I said, a bunch of different options, and we'll work with our clients to make sure we get the best fit for them.
Perfect. And you kind of talked a little bit about age being 6 and up for activities. If someone comes with a family group and they have a kid younger than that, are they still able to come visit the ranch, or are they not able to do so? You want 6 and up
No, kids that are younger are welcome. We don't provide any childcare. So with some of our larger families, it works a little bit better. So everybody will kind of maybe rotate through who's going to stay back with the younger ones. But it's a little bit challenging with smaller families. So it's our, for an individual family reservation, it's our recommendation that everybody's 6 years old and older.
Perfect. All right. So I think you talked about the activities and a little bit. Do you want to talk about your writing program?
Yeah, I mean, like all ranches, that's kind of the base of what we are. That's really our core. We sleep about 45, 50 guests. We've got 120 horses on the place. The rest of my younger brother's professional horse trainer. My father's professional horse trainer. So that's kind of the root of what our family, kind of came into this as. So, we're real happy and proud of our riding program. Our riding program specifically, because we have that really high guest to staff ratio or staff to guest ratio. My rides are pretty small, so 3, 4, 5, maximum of 6 people on a ride. We're going to give guests the ability to we're going to give families the ability to either ride together or split up kind of on what their interests are. So maybe my more advanced riders will ride together. Kids rides will maybe ride together. Some families will stick together all the way through. But really flexibility is kind of what we try and build it on. So everybody's riding with a group that's at their ability, and going to do something that they're going to enjoy. So it's that's kind of the core of what every ranch is, but it's a big part of what we are.
Perfect. And then I think you've already talked a little bit about the activities. So I obviously talked about the whitewater rafting and the hikes, and looks like you've got some farm animals and fishing available as well to you.
Yeah, we're on St. Mary's River, which is one of the 7 classified rivers in BC. So world-class fly fishing. There's some gold panning that the kids are riding out to do. ATVs, shooting sports has become a big part of our program. We've always had mountain bikes. We've introduced e-bikes in the last couple of years, which has been a great addition because it's a great equalizer. Big hiking program, and then we're in Canada, so we're north of the 49th. So unlike some of my southern competitors, it's daylight here in the summer till 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So after dinner, we have a big evening program that's going to run everything from performance horse demonstrations. We've got a couple performers that come in, fire engine games, casino nights, stuff like that. So there's a big evening program as well.
Okay. And then what season do you run, Tyler?
We run May through September, mid-May through the end of September. Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. So Janice is up next in Idaho. And do you want to tell us a little bit about your ranch, Janice?
Sure. Well, we are located 60 miles south of the Canadian border. So we're actually not real far from Tyler, just a little southern in the United States. And we're 90 miles from Spokane, Washington, and that's where most of our guests fly into. This is the ranch that I grew up on as a child. My grandpa came here in 1940 from Colorado and started just a ranch. Whatever they could do to make a living, from milking cows to selling cream to splitting fence posts to a little bit of logging. Over the years, my dad took over the cattle ranch. And then in the 70s, they had the opportunity to buy a little bit bigger ranch down farther south of us. So the main ranch, which we call is the home ranch, this is where, like I said, we all grew up. I have 4 older brothers. We all grew up here. And so it gave us the opportunity. We didn't know we were looking for a guest ranch, but we knew we were looking for a business, Raleigh and I, my husband Raleigh, you saw him in the other picture. And the family was very encouraging of having the home ranch, taking on taking on guests and kind of letting the ranch diversify a little bit. So we started in 91 by just offering horseback rides. And so everything we built from ground up, other than the original ranch barns and whatnot. So started out by doing horseback rides, and we built cabins, and then we built the lodge in 96 and built an indoor arena. And, so we just expanded over the years. But it's at this point, we have both of our children are involved in the ranch, and now we have grandkids. So many generations. In fact, on my mom's side, we have 7 generations that have lived up here on Upper Gold Creek. So it's home, it's our roots, it's what we love, it's what we love to talk about and do. And so I think that when our guests come here, that's one of the things that is that they always tell me is that, it's like coming home, and it's a very friendly atmosphere. We only take 20 guests. So we're one of those smaller ranches, and that works out great for us. We have individual cabins, the 4 cabins, and then we also have rooms in the lodge. So again, like Tyler said, very COVID friendly in that we have the individual housing, but also the smaller numbers, and very much, of course, outdoors. Our main activity, of course, is the horseback riding. That's kind of the main thing that people love to do here. We also go in very small groups. We try to take our guests out according to ability or family group. And so 4 and 5 people is pretty much what most of our guests are. We do a variety of things with the riding program, from trail rides to arena games to cow sorting. And we even do like a mounted scavenger hunt. And we also have a children's program that's very horse oriented. The kids get to, everybody has the opportunity, if they want to groom and saddle their own horses, they get the same horse for the week. So they get that opportunity to bond. But with the kids also, we do a separate horsemanship program with them where they are very hands-on. They get to learn a little bit of horse skills, horse husbandry. They're saddling their horses every day. And then on Thursday night, we do our kids show where they get to participate in a horse show for their families. When that's always great fun. September is, we do a lot of adult only weeks, and that's become real popular. So that's a great time for adults to come and just chill a little bit here at the ranch as well.
Perfect. So, and it looks like, I think you're a year-round ranch. Is that correct? Or what is your season?
That is correct. We are year-round. Different programs depending on the year, on the time of the year. June 1st to September 30th is our our all-inclusive summer packages. And then the rest of the year, we do bed and breakfast stays and cabin rentals. We do a big sleigh riding business in the winter, do some cross-country skiing. And so, yeah, guests can come here all year round.
We talked a little bit about your writing program. Is there anything else you wanted to add to the writing program?
We do have, like I said, we try to keep small groups. We try to do a lot of individual writing requests. If somebody wants to go for a little bit faster ride, we can do that after a lope test in the arena, of course, and to just kind of accommodate everybody's individual writing requests. Because we're smaller, we have a good staff. Again, 4 or 5 people per ride at the most. So we can do that, but we also do the skeet shooting. We also are adding e-bikes this summer, so we're excited about that. We do archery, again, mountain biking, hiking. We do a dinner cruise on Lake Pend Oreille. on Tuesday night, Dutch oven cookout with music around the campfire Wednesday nights. And one of the neat things about coming to the ranch is you get to also see a little bit of North Idaho, and Sandpoint, Idaho sits right on the shores of Lake Pend Oreille, which is one of the biggest freshwater lakes in the United States. So it's beautiful, beautiful country.
Perfect. And then we talked a little bit about your accommodations, but you have both lodge rooms and cabins, correct?
That is correct. In the picture there, the cabin on the right is our Meadowview cabin. So that cabin will sleep up to 6 people, or you know, a lot of times just couples love that space right there. And then the picture on the left is one of our guest rooms. That's called the Duke's room. And we have 6, like I said, 6 rooms in the lodge, all with private baths. So if we have a family unit, it works good. The space that I'm sitting in up here, you can do 4 rooms up here, and then you have a central sitting area. So if you have a family of 8 or something like that, that works out great. Not everybody has to share the same bathroom. Everybody has a little bit separate space, but yet they can still come together here in this central area.
Perfect. All right. So now, I don't know why it's going. Now we're on to Russell, but talking a little bit about White Stallion Ranch.
Well, while I was listening to Tyler, I thought, you know, we've sort of morphed into a similar thing. I mean, we don't have the water, of course, no rafting or fishing, but we've, over the years, you know, we've certainly recently really added a lot of activities. We've been here 55 years. I'm sitting in the office where my mother used to type on her manual Royal typewriter. And so our parents, my brother and I, run the ranch. And so they had this leap of faith in 1965 and bought this old, sort of not very successful dude ranch and did something they'd never done before. And we've been here ever since. We started out as a lot of Arizona ranches do. Of course, any dude ranch is all about riding, but they're also down here in southern Arizona a lot about weather and getting outside and eating on patios and enjoying the pool and going out on cookouts. So we were always a lot about that. We're a year-round operation now. But recently we've added, I guess we all 3 now have e-bikes. We've had e-bikes for a while, huge success. Tyler's word, equalizer, absolutely. We have a variety of shooting. We do 45s, 22s, black powder, and archery. And we do real rock climbing. So you see some of the mountains that surround the ranch, and it's some great rock climbing. So it's not a rock wall. We have 37 climbs. We have more on-site real rock climbs than any other destination in America. And we go all the way from 30-foot beginner climbs to pretty advanced 150-foot climbs. So we've got a lot to do. We also, Tyler said he's got 7 things going on something going on every night of the week. We also have something for our guests to do after dinner every night. We're a little bigger, take as many as over 100, but we're primarily a winter vacation, so we're going to have just naturally periods like Thanksgiving being a prime example, where we're going to have almost exclusively families, followed by 2 weeks to 3 weeks, depending on how the dates fall, where we'll probably have no children, and then Christmas for a couple of weeks, and then we're back to no children, and then we get into February, March, and April, and we're kind of a family place again. And then the summer varies. So it's kind of an interesting mix, half families, half couples and singles. So our accommodations, our activities, everything we do has to accommodate, 60-year-old single women who love to ride horses and families who want their kids to stay active and do fun things and enjoy the great outdoors and do something real. And so I, the others have said, I think the core of dude ranching remains the same, whether it's Idaho, Canada, or Tucson, Arizona. It's horses, hats, hospitality, heritage, heart, and honesty, as the dude ranchers say, and we believe that really strongly. And you know, our guests are walking through Saguaro Cactus. If you look at the far right of that picture, it's the Saguaro National Park. So we have 2 miles of common fence with them, and you really can't tell our ranch from the park. And so we're in classic Sonoran Desert. We've had 31 films shot here, countless TV and things like that because of that backdrop. And that's not even the good one. So that's our story.
Perfect. So I want to be sure to open this up for questions. I know some of the guests had questions in regards to snakes and bears and that kind of stuff. Is there any kind of thing like that that they need to be concerned about when coming to visit the Dude Ranch? Maybe the snakes would more apply to Russell. I don't know.
Well, snakes, we you know, I just learned lately the biggest snake bite month in Tucson is April. Absolutely. Actually, I've lived here 55 years, shocked me. I don't see very many snakes in April. Usually they're out in May, but I guess that's why. So yeah, you got to kind of look out for them. I'll knock on wood. We've never had a snake bite. There's bears in Arizona, but not in the desert.
Right. Okay. Anything for you guys?
I would prefer the bears over the snakes any day of the week. So they're big and I can see them coming. If we're very, very lucky, we might see a bear on a ride, but it's definitely not an issue that affects our guests or that we need to be concerned about.
Perfect.
No rattlesnakes in North Idaho. Just friendly little garter snake. And the bear, black bear, not grizzlies yet. And they are, you know, they're more afraid of you than you are of them. And yeah, if we're lucky, we can go out on a ride and see a bear in the distance. It really doesn't bother the horses, or you know, it's one of those great things you get to see. But right here around the buildings and stuff, we don't have bears here.
Perfect. Jennifer or Angeli, do you have any questions? Nope. Okay. I just wanted to touch on one topic really quickly, and that was special dietary needs. Do you guys do any particular accommodations for that?
I know at 3 Bars, and I know for these guys too, and I think probably most ranches, it's pretty commonplace now. If you have 50 people, we're going to have, you know, maybe 10% of those on some sort of a special diet with the kitchen. So most places are pretty accustomed to dealing with, you know, everything from vegetarians through to gluten allergies and right through celiac. So most ranches, surprisingly, are very accustomed to dealing with it.
Perfect. All right. Well, I think that about does it. Just one last time to see.
Amanda, can I just say a couple things so people know, what is that woman doing sitting there? I just want to remind everyone that these guys are all members of the Dude Ranchers Association, which is association has been, I think that we're celebrating our 95th year this year. And they're also a part of what we call the Spur Alliance, which is kind of it's 10 ranches that have been kind of hand selected. And so if one of your guests are out there looking for ranches, they need to make sure they're either part of the Spur Alliance or that they're part of the DRA. Because we are an accredited bunch of ranches. We're not just, you know, it's not a pay-to-play game. So they're all their horse programs, their kids programs.
I hope that you have a wonderful evening. Thanks again for your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda.
Bye.
Appreciate it.